Well, this Labour benefit stuff is getting spicy, isn't it? Starmer's party are getting restless, and there's rumours of a big rebellion on the backbenches. Not that that would do anything to prevent them getting things through, if it did go to a vote in the Commons, as they've such a huge majority. Amongst the howls of horror from socialists and the jeers of disbelief of staunch conservative types, I'm not seeing a lot of middle ground in this ideological battle over the welfare state. So let's take a pause and a deep breath, use some common sense and look at both sides and try and find some middle ground if there's any. From the socialist side, anyone with any affliction, mild or otherwise, should be entitled to get money from the government. In fact, they expect government to pay for everything, for everyone. A big state with a big fat payout. Goodness knows where that money would come from. If you're feeling a bit down, hurt your back a bit, free money, and as few questions asked as possible. Then you have the other side, who want you to have no money from the state at all, and would have you up at 4 a.m. cleaning chimneys or shining their shoes like it was the 1920s for your pittance of pay till your back breaks and you're buried in your pauper's grave. Okay, a bit extreme, but you get the idea. And the Tories have claimed it doesn't go far enough, and some agree, but I think that there's some conflation between targeting those who don't need it and trying to limit payments to people who actually do. Realistically, it's fair that people with a disability that prevents them from any form of work should get full state assistance. That's not really in question with, I imagine, near universal agreement, but the gulf between the two sides widens the further down the disability list you go, I think. And as there's an array of complex conditions and physical impairments that can stop or at least hamper a person from gainful employment, well, it just gets harder and harder to work out how, what, and why. We know there are degrees of impairment and levels of benefit. The old disability allowance, which was changed, had bands from lowest impairment to highest. Now it's that personal independence payment. There are quite a few things that have got to be taken into consideration. Because of this, people have said it takes a long time to navigate the system and to receive the benefit, as there are so many factors to consider, and this means tested payment. So is it the case that, is it trying to whittle down the exact nature of the problem too much? And critics say it is. As someone looking at it from the outside, I would say it probably has to be that way to stop the system being exploited. Others would say that would happen anyway, but as with every system, there's going to be flaws, and whilst yes, you might have some people attempting to defraud, it's better for the public finances if that's in the millions rather than the hundreds of millions, I would imagine. So yeah, I think it's stringent, but on balance, probably fair. It would be great if it were easier, but not everyone is as clear-cut in their case as, say, someone who's lost all their limbs in a car accident, for example. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward case. Extreme, but straightforward. But as a society, if we insist on a full range of afflictions to be compensated, logic would say a full range of measures to find out exactly what it is that you're claiming for would be right. Especially as the mental health stuff is factored in as well. That is an issue that needs addressing from top to bottom anyway, from the root causes to treatment, education of not only why and what's happening, but how to help yourself not go to places mentally that you shouldn't. But the seeming decline in a lot of people's mental health has been seen by some old school types as people just being work shy and they should suck it up and get on with it. It does appear that as a society, modern life pressures cause a lot more anxiety, especially in the younger generations. There is a divide on whether these issues can be classed as true disabilities. As for the amounts of actual payments go, again, there might be a bit of a disagreement. Is it right to have it at a level to sustain a basic lifestyle? And the more the ability is affected, the more the payout. A sliding scale seems fairly feasible, as the less you can do for yourself, obviously the higher the amount of care, the bigger the financial burden. Looking at the numbers, I don't think having these benefits is going to make anyone rich, but it will make life a lot easier for those who need it most. And I think a lot of the problem is the messaging and the lack of transparency. Rather than sweeping statements about going after PIP payments, surely it would have been better to say to the public the exact things that you were looking at doing and making sure they were the ones you could actually do something about and not give the other side too much to snipe about. It's got to be more scalpel and less cleaver. After saying that freezing PIP payments was what they were thinking about went down like a lead balloon with their own party, Labour has had to backtrack and they're getting absolutely savaged by their own side in the Commons. Their voter base is vehemently opposed to this kind of thing, so for the sake of £5 billion, it seems like they're committing political self-harm here. There's plenty of money in the system. The overall pot is £1 trillion. And, there's lots of places that could be cut. It really does need someone to rein in spending in all departments because they're out of control, spending way too much and getting no value for money, as far as I can tell, on anything. £1,000 billion, £1 trillion, is what the government gets from various revenues each year. This could actually be more if they know what they're doing. But the spending is so profligate as to be obscene. It really is. So the upshot of this is that most people don't want the government to go after the disabled. I mean, sure, try to make it so that the right people get the right money, that's not in question, but there are other places to go if you're looking for a few billion quid. An efficiency drive of just 5% could yield 50 billion. But this would require Labour to, again, go against their instincts, their voters, and some of their MPs. Conservatives want more of this, yet they couldn't deliver it in their long stint in power, mostly because they were siphoning it off of their friends. In the end, things need to change, or we'll end up with a society where workers will be slowly outnumbered by those who can't work, and I don't see that playing out particularly well.